Hello friends! Imagine a car where the door handles are placed near the floor at knee level, the glove box barely fits a bank card, and the cup holder isn't beside the seat but behind your back. Sounds strange, doesn't it? Today we'll tell you about one of the most expensive and luxurious cars of the last 50 years, the legendary brand Lamborghini. And when talking about this iconic brand, it's impossible to ignore the biography of its founder, Bo Washin. The creator of the Lamborghini brand is considered to be the Italian industrialist and entrepreneur Ferruccio Lamborghini. As is often the case, he was born in 1916 into a family of humble farmers. From early childhood, his father taught him to work the land while also sparking an interest in mechanics and machinery. They see that point. Whenever the grain crusher broke or a hand tool failed, Ferruccio was right there with his father helping with repairs. By the age of 12, his parents noticed that the boy was especially drawn to metal parts. He was constantly crafting something new from them. Seeing this passion, his father set up a small workshop in one of the barns, equipping it with all the necessary tools for engineering. Step by step, Ferruccio began casting parts for agricultural machinery. One ordinary day, while working in his workshop, he accidentally dropped a spark onto the wooden floor, which instantly caught fire. Fortunately, his father was nearby, quickly reacted, and extinguished the flames, saving the farm from disaster. Despite the incident, Ferruccio didn't abandon his passion. On the contrary, he became even more devoted. Ferruccio sparking up, and after finishing school, he enrolled in a technical university where he easily mastered the basics of casting and welding. After obtaining a professional license, he wasted no time and immediately got a job at a local Ford's. In 1932, he became an apprentice to a blacksmith named Jeffrey Oli. After 2 years of gaining experience, he moved in 1934 to one of Bologna's workshops, where he worked directly on military orders. It's worth noting that Ferruccio was genuinely passionate about his craft. The only once is being priced this Taurus and has air by it, and they cost for free time design. Work brought him not only a modest income, but also real satisfaction. It was this love for craftsmanship that became the foundation of his future career. Having built useful connections and deepened his knowledge of blacksmithing, he returned a year later to his hometown of Cento. Do you see that point? There, the young craftsman opened his own workshop together with his friend Marino Filippini. At that time, they were only 19 years old. However, the partnership didn't last long. In 1939, both were drafted into the army. AC Stays had a biggest responsible in selling daters of missing issue. Until 1943, Ferruccio worked for the military, independently repairing equipment of both domestic and foreign origin. This experience proved extremely valuable. Such knowledge couldn't be gained in any educational institution. You see that point?
In 1943, the island of Rhodes, where Ferruccio was stationed, was captured by German forces. Learning that he held the position of workshop chief and was the personal mechanic of the high command, the Germans gave him a choice: prison and death, or work as chief mechanic repairing German equipment. Without hesitation, Ferruccio chose the craft. Even after the war ended and the island of Rhodes came under British control, the talented craftsman continued to live and work there until 1946. Only 3 years later did he decide to return home. All the knowledge gained under frontline conditions, Ferruccio sought to apply in civilian life. Back in his hometown, he didn't waste a single day. Orders came in one after another. By the end of 1947, there wasn't a single agricultural machine in his town that Ferruccio hadn't worked on. Realizing that his skills were in demand, he gathered all his savings, borrowed the remaining amount from his parents, and in 1948 founded the company Lamborghini Trattori SPA. The goal of the enterprise was to ease farmers' lives, to create a machine capable of doing heavy work for them. And as strange as it may sound, in just 1 year of operation, he built the company's first vehicle. In 1949, Lamborghini Trattori released its first tractor of original design. The engine was taken from a military truck, and Ferruccio designed the evaporator tank himself. Nearly all components were either recycled or adapted to meet farmers' needs. The first units were offered to local farmers, and their feedback was so positive that within a few months, about a dozen new orders came in. A year later, demand grew so much that the company couldn't keep up with production. Ferruccio faced a shortage of workers, production space, and most importantly, parts for assembly. At that time, he was 35 years old, and he made a final decision to dedicate himself to machinery production. Through his father, he arranged a loan at the local bank, mortgaging the family farm and workshop as collateral. It was a risk, but Ferruccio believed in success. With the substantial sum he received for that time, he purchased 1,000 new Morris brand engines, intended for future tractors. In the first year, about 50 50 units were sold, and the next, already 250. Lamborghini tractors quickly gained popularity thanks to their affordable price, simple design, and ease of maintenance. Any teenager could repair such a machine. The company grew rapidly. In post-war Italy, working the land was almost the only way to survive. Each year, the number of employees increased and equipment was updated. Nearly every 2 years, it was replaced with more modern and high-quality machinery. Until 1960, Ferruccio successfully developed tractor production until he decided to expand his field of activity. That same year, he founded another profitable enterprise, Lamborghini Bruciatori, specializing in the development of boilers, heating and cooling systems, and their maintenance. Thanks to this company, Italy gradually transitioned from coal heating to gas. Revenue from both businesses was quite significant. Overall, thanks to the coordinated work of the team and the efforts of all employees, Italy's war-torn economy began to gradually recover. And now, friends, we've come to the key question. How did Ferruccio move into car production? The answer is simple. Despite his professional involvement in the tractor business, Ferruccio was a passionate car enthusiast. Ferruccio often upgraded his cars, adding his own technical solutions. The first car he owned was a Fiat 500 Topolino, but his true passion was for sports cars. The first sports car in his collection was the Alfa Romeo 1900 Sprint. In 1955, he decided to buy a Mercedes-Benz 300 SL, but soon became disappointed and sold it. The reason for such frequent car changes, as Ferruccio later explained, was the many flaws that only appeared during actual use. And this didn't apply only to Mercedes. He found similar issues in Ferrari and Maserati as well. According to Lamborghini, no car was perfect. Over the years, he owned several Maserati 3500 GTs and a Jaguar E-Type, but he favored various modifications of the Ferrari 250 GT. It was his experience with Ferrari that became the turning point for creating his own car. More precisely, it all started with a particular event. When asked about the origin of the first Lamborghini, Ferruccio's son answered after his father's death. It began with a visit to the Ferrari factory, where Ferruccio wanted to discuss a clutch issue in his Ferrari 250 GT. He came with good intentions, to offer help, maybe even suggest a solution. However, the hot-tempered Enzo Ferrari treated him with disdain. He sent Ferruccio away, advised him to stick to his tractors, and called him a provincial farmer, claiming he knew nothing about sports cars. This episode was shared by Lamborghini's son in an interview. Offended and humiliated, Ferruccio returned to his factory. Together with his chief engineer, he disassembled the Ferrari 250 GT's transmission and discovered that many parts were made by the same supplier used for Lamborghini tractors. He found a suitable replacement in his warehouse, installed it, and the problem was solved. That was the moment he made a vow to prove to Enzo Ferrari just how wrong he had been. Enzo had no idea how far Ferruccio would go in his determination to prove him wrong. Inspired by the idea of creating his own high-speed car, Ferruccio quickly defined the characteristics it should have. He entrusted the engine development to Giotto Bizzarini, who had previously worked at Ferrari. The clutch was designed similarly to that of a tractor, and the body design was brought to life by the talented designer Franco Scaglione. In 1963, Ferruccio founded a new company, Automobili Ferruccio Lamborghini. The brand's first car was unveiled at the Turin Auto Show that same year. The Lamborghini 350 GTV model caused a real sensation. Even then, Ferruccio made it clear his cars were not meant for racing. They were built for comfortable driving and pleasure. It's worth noting that at the time of its debut, the car was only partially completed. However, after receiving several dozen orders, the design was refined in May 1964 and full-scale production began. At the next Turin exhibition, the P400 model was presented, but Ferruccio wasn't entirely satisfied with it. In 1966, he improved it and released an upgraded version called the Miura. The success exceeded all expectations. In just a few years, 764 units of the new car were sold, with each vehicle priced at no less than $20,000 at the time. This automatically placed the model in the luxury category. However, the high cost didn't deter true enthusiasts. On the contrary, demand kept growing. Thanks to such sales, Lamborghini quickly overtook Ferrari, leaving it far behind. Riding the wave of success, Lamborghini's model lineup began to expand rapidly. In the early 1970s, the Islero S model appeared, followed by the Jarama 400 GT, which was nicknamed Ferruccio's personal Rolls-Royce in certain circles. A series of off-road vehicles called Cheetah was also developed, primarily intended for supply to the US military. One of the most striking and successful cars was the Lamborghini Countach, a model with an unusual design and guillotine-style doors. It could reach speeds of up to 300 kilometers per hour and became the first supercar to enter the Guinness Book of Records. Countach production continued until 1990. In 1979, an upgraded version was released, the Countach LP 400S, equipped with a 455 horsepower engine and, for the first time in the brand's history, a 4-valve motor. But unexpectedly, having reached the peak of both automotive and tractor engineering, Ferruccio decided to step down from his leadership role. The reason was the termination of a major contract for agricultural machinery supplies to South America. This event plunged the company into crisis, and in Ferruccio's view, the only solution was to step away from management. He sold part of his shares back in 1972. The buyers were René Leimer and Georges André. The oil crisis of 1973 only confirmed the wisdom of his decision. Soon, all tractor production came under the control of the Italian conglomerate Sam-Deutz-Fahrer Group. By 1974, Ferruccio had sold off all his assets, and with the proceeds, he purchased a villa in Castiglione de Langa, where he took up winemaking and began living a calm, measured life. There, he also built golf carts, and once even personally assembled a car for Pope John Paul II. After Ferruccio's departure from the company, Lamborghini released several more iconic models that became legendary in the automotive world. Among them were the redesigned Countach LP 400 with 375 horsepower and the Silhouette, a two-seater coupe with a Targa-style roof. However, despite launching new models, financial difficulties couldn't be avoided. Problems with road infrastructure, declining demand, and supply chain disruptions seriously affected the company's position. All these seemingly minor issues combined to lead to Lamborghini's official bankruptcy in 1978. The shares were put up for sale and were acquired by the Mimran brothers. A few years later, the company came under the control of the Chrysler Corporation. Under its leadership, an upgraded version of the Countach was released, named Diablo. However, even this model couldn't save Lamborghini from mounting financial troubles. Soon, the brand changed hands again. This time, all shares were acquired by a major investment group from Indonesia called M-Tech. The new director, Tommy Soeharto, failed to offer any progressive ideas, but he easily increased the company's debt burden. Unable to withstand pressure from competitors, in 1998, Lamborghini changed ownership once again. A controlling stake was acquired by the Audi AG Group, which became the brand's final and arguably most effective owner. It was Audi that successfully reorganized production and elevated the company to a new level. Under Audi's management, the design of Lamborghini cars underwent significant changes. They became more versatile, modern, and stylish. Thanks to invested capital and engineering solutions, the entire Lamborghini lineup is still considered a symbol of a luxurious lifestyle. Exclusive components are ordered for these cars, and unique design solutions are created that win the hearts of thousands of buyers around the world. In 2001, a new model was introduced, the Murcielago, with a limited run of 400 units. That same year marked the grand opening of the Lamborghini History Museum, which continues to operate today. Visitors can not only explore the brand's history, but also sit inside each of the iconic cars that became legends of their time. A decade later, the lineup was expanded with another standout, the Lamborghini Aventador, capable of accelerating to 100 kilometers per hour in just 3 seconds. Since 2014, the Huracan model has been in production, quickly earning its place in the collections of sports car enthusiasts. And in 2017, the Lamborghini Urus SUV was launched, distinguished from previous models by its larger dimensions and diverse color palette. Many know that Lamborghini cars are often seen in the United Arab Emirates, where police patrol the streets in these supercars. In Italy, the brand's vehicles are used to transport donor organs, but the most unusual examples can be found in the Vatican, in St. Peter's Square. There, police use vehicles that resemble Lamborghini golf carts to pursue potential offenders. In the dense crowds of tourists, such vehicles prove far more convenient and maneuverable than full-size supercars. To this day, the Lamborghini logo remains unchanged. The Golden Bull, chosen in 1963, symbolizes power, dominance, and the brand's rich traditions. Yet few know why this animal became the company's emblem. The explanation is simple. Ferruccio Lamborghini was a Taurus by zodiac sign and believed that this trait, persistence, and the drive to push forward helped him achieve success. He believed that under the influence of Taurus, he was able to overcome all obstacles, even those that seemed insurmountable. It's remarkable how, in just 9 years of running the company, Ferruccio managed to change the automotive world, bringing tractor engineering knowledge into into sports car production. He succeeded in realizing nearly all of his dreams. He aimed to surpass Enzo Ferrari, and he did. Moreover, he wanted to live longer than his rival. When Enzo Ferrari passed away at the age of 90, Ferruccio firmly decided to reach 91 to outdo him even in that. But fate had other plans. Ferruccio Lamborghini died on February 20th, 1993 at the age of 76. Ferruccio Lamborghini passed away on February 20th, 1993 at the age of 76, leaving an indelible mark on the history of global automotive engineering. Since the launch of the first car under the Lamborghini brand, 23 different models have been released, including the most modern ones. For example, the limited Aventador Miura, only 50 units, has become a true treasure for collectors. Its value increases by at least a couple of $1 million each year, turning the purchase into a profitable investment. Even sitting in complete silence inside such a car, you can feel its price literally rising before your eyes. From the very beginning, Ferruccio followed a principle. His cars should not participate in races. That's why, during his leadership, the company didn't produce racing models. However, after his departure with Rossetti's involvement, Lamborghini partnered with BMW to create a car suitable for motorsport. Unfortunately, Lamborghini failed to fulfill its part of the project, and the model was fully developed by BMW's motorsport division. It was later released under the name BMW M1. In 1986, the company made another attempt to participate in Group C competitions. The Lamborghini QVX car was created. The vehicle was assembled, but due to funding issues, the season had to be skipped. The QVX took part in only one race, at the Kyalami track in Johannesburg, driven by Tiff Needell. Despite a respectable result, the project was shut down. From 1989 to 1993, Lamborghini supplied V12 engines for Formula One teams. In 1991, the company even fielded its own racing team, but it lasted only one season. In 2014, a student from Staffordshire, Mark Hostler, created a concept in memory of Ferruccio, naming it Lamborghini Ferruccio. This project was dedicated to the brand's 50th anniversary and became a symbol of respect for the legacy of a great engineer. Such is the remarkable world of Lamborghini, a world created by the son of a humble farmer who first built tractors and then revolutionized the concept of luxury, speed, and style. And it's hard to believe that if not for Enzo Ferrari's harsh words and the clutch issue in the Ferrari 250 GT, the world might never have seen these cars that became the benchmark of success, beauty, and engineering excellence. As often happens, all great things begin with something small. Whether it's the desire to build something with your own hands or a few casually spoken words. Friends, our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments, like the video, and see you soon.